How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Linear Bounded Phenogram of Steinsgate. Last time we were here, we started what's supposed to be like the ending chapter in the weird 4.4 world divergence, which is crazy. So in this one, it seems that Okabe jumped back into the past. However, his memories got muddled. He didn't quite remember what his mission was or what was going on. All that we know now is that Mayuri has been kidnapped, or at least kind of kidnapped. I can't remember exactly. The Fated World distorts and deforms. I don't know if we time-leapt or something. But we're trying to fix something or change something. But yeah, we got to try and keep Mayuri safe. It's the same, second verse, same as the first, but with the added twist that Okabe has forgotten a lot of what he's done, but he's picking it up again as he moves forward. So I'm really interested to see where we're going to go with this one. It's also really interesting because between the last episode and this episode, I finally started showing Steins Gate to my wife. We've been watching the anime, the dub, because she's not a big fan of the subtitling, following the subtitles. She feels like she misses too much of the action. But we've been watching that show, and it's been really, really fun to re-immerse myself in the original storyline and kind of help explain the things that aren't really covered well. At least I don't think they're covered well. And then ultimately just kind of watching her enjoy that herself and to see, like, the light in her eyes grow up and just be like getting captivated and like keeps demanding that we watch another episode. Really, really fun to see that. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what she thinks of it and to kind of keep moving forward with that. But let's just jump right back into it, shall we? So let's begin. The fated world distorts and deforms. A piercing pain explodes deep inside my ears and I grip my teeth. I lose balance and grasp onto a nearby roadside tree. I can feel people's suspicious eyes on me from all around. My dizziness eventually subsides and the world regains its color. Alright, 13th. Letters from Mayuri. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what it was. We get a D-mail. We had the two different D-mails. And we're trying one that was sent to our phone, one that was sent to Mayuri's phone. We're trying to figure out what on earth they mean. I let go of the tree, shook my head, and looked around in the circle.
ここは UPX の前か。
Yeah. Then right behind me. Aww. What's that out? Is that a new outfit? That doesn't look familiar. But hello, Ferris. Aww. A cat girl was standing there.
フェイリス。お前どうしてこんなところに？
どうしてって、さっきからずっとここにいたにゃ。
Okay. Oh, I didn't quite understand the situation. Well, I wasn't even sure why I was here in the first place. However, I certainly knew what had happened. Reading Steiner, the world line had changed.
そうだ、マユリ。マユリはどうなった？
I looked to my left as I mutter. Mayuri's cell phone, which I held in my hand just a minute ago, had disappeared. Checking my pockets yielded only that flyer and my cell phone. I opened it up and called Mayuri. That's an upgrade. Mayuri!
マユリ！マユリ！
Yeah, I know.
もしかして怒ってる？
Oh. I'm not mad. Of course I wasn't mad. As I take a deep breath, sigh of relief, I put my hand back to the nearby tree.
マユリ、お前今どこにいる？
ラボだよ。先に帰ってきちゃったんだ。携帯の充電が切れちゃって連絡できなかったの。
Right.
ごめんね。
I don't really know what she's talking about.
ちなみにクリスちゃんもラボにいるよ。ちょうど今帰ってきたところだけど。
Okay. It's just getting more confusing. But whatever. Mayuri's on the phone with me now. I know where she is. The lab. Mayuri's at the lab. That's enough for me.
マユリ、ラボにいろ。絶対にそこを動くなよ。いいな。
わかったよ。
Oh, but what if now Kurisu and Mayuri get kidnapped? That would be rough. After I hung up, I gave Ferris, who was standing there puzzled, a simple farewell and rushed off to the lab. You didn't even bother to ask her what you were doing with her? I arrive at the front of the Baron Tube workshop. I fly up the stairs beside it and throw open the door. I step inside to see... Aww, Mayuri, with her hands covered in breadcrumbs.
Ah, Okarin.
Bakarin, Okarin. After she greeted me, Mayuri starts chewing on the breadcrumbs stuck to her fingertips. The cold lump that was in my chest melts away. As I let out a large breath, I wipe the sweat off my forehead with the back of my hand.
レトリックが間違っているぞ、マユリ。それはトートロジーだ。
Alright, what? I'm not even sure what those... I know rhetoric is like the words you use, but what's the tautology? So rhetoric, the repetition of the same word, similar meaning word. No, this is tautology. For example, an apple is an apple, or my headache hurts. The term also refers to statements that are true by virtue of its logical form. For example, I know you love me. I'm sure you spend your nights thinking about me. I mean, if you're not thinking about me, what would that... That would mean that you don't love me. Right, so it's like cyclical logic. An apple is an apple. And then rhetoric is exclusive use of language to make an impressive effect on the listener.
おかえりんイコールおかえりプラスオカリンだったはず。故におかえりんオカリンはおかえりプラスオカリンかける2となって文法的に不自然なのだ。
Ah, gotcha.
ははは、確かにそれもそうだね。でもそれはそれでなんだかメイクインニャンニャンみたいで可愛いかも。
Mayuri gives me a carefree smile. Her logic is beyond me, but that's a good thing. These unpredictable interactions are the true essence of this lab and provide the serendipity necessary for gadget development. What's more, I was simply happy to regain our usual everyday life.
で、お前の手はどうしてそんな風にハドマンドのようになっている?
A Hadimon, is that a character reference? A hand-shaped monster that appears in a hyper-popular role-playing game. The hand comes out of the ground to attack the hero. It's capable of summoning more monsters into the battle. Kind of sounds like the grabbers in Zelda, but I don't think they summon things. I'm not sure what it's referencing specifically.
ああ、これはパン粉だよ。
Yeah.
見ればわかる。俺が聞いているのはその理由についてだ。
ああ、ダル君のお手伝いをしていたからなのです。
Oh, okay. Mayuri's breadcrumb and riddled fingertips point toward the kitchen. When I turn to look, I see a man resembling a barrel standing in front of the stove. It was Daru. With his back hunched, he looked even more like a barrel than usual.
何をしてるんだ、ダル?
Yeah, does Daru cook?
マイネちゃんに触発された。
Mine-chan?
マイネちゃん?
マイネちゃんと言ったらクッキンアイドールマイネちゃんのことに決まってんだろ、ジョコ。
Okay. A child cooking show broadcast on weekdays. The protagonist, Main, Komimitsu Ine, is a doll with a soul who hopes to one day become a real human girl by learning how to cook. When the human eats her food, they drop cheek sap, visible only to Main. She collects the sap and delivers it to the witch. Said witch has promised to turn her into a real human if she collects enough to fill up her pot. The show contains an animated section and a live-action section. The anime bits follow the story above, while the live-action bits follow the actual voice actress as she makes dishes seen in the anime in front of the studio audience. Ooh, interesting. Like, so you have the voice actress who also is actually good at cooking. It's like a fusion of anime with like the Food Network. Genuinely an interesting idea. If it's based on a real thing, I kind of want to see it. If it's not, someone needs to freaking get on top of that, because that sounds fantastic. By the way, anime cooking, one of the best things ever. Favorite anime cooking shows? I like Food Wars, but this most recent season's been kind of... I like the seasons up till now. I feel like this one's been kind of a disappointment. But I think my all-time favorite one is the Emiya cooking one, like the one's based in the Fate universe. Like that one's just adorable, and I love Fate. So Fate that like also has cooking is like a wonderful combination.
つまり?
料理してるってこと。開発評議会のための料理。 買い出しに行ってお菓子はゲットしてきたけど、それだけじゃ物足りないっしょ。
Right. At this point in our game of conversation catch, we've thrown the ball back and forth 3 times, but I still haven't got the foggiest idea what he's talking about. I asked a follow-up question.
なぜお前が作る必要がある？
僕が作っちゃ悪いん？
Well, it's better than using courtesy.
悪くはないが、ピザはどうなった？
I remember that in the other worldline, Dara was supposed to have ordered 3 pizzas for delivery. I would think those would more than suffice to feed the development summit. Then Mayuri answered. Mayuri spoke with her hand still up in the air like a surgeon.
ピザラットはね、お休みだったのです。
Pizza rat? That sounds like a terrible place. Pizza delivery train, its mascot is a rat nibbling on some cheese. Ugh.
休み？あそこの店に定休日なんてあったか？
定休日じゃなくて臨時休業だって。ダル君が電話したらそう言ってたみたい。
Weird. Dara nods with his back still turned to me.
何かあったのかな？
Yeah.
ピザソースがなくなっちゃったとか。
This is impossible.
とにかくそんなわけでピザラットはお休みで、それじゃあ代わりにキッチン二郎のメンチカツが食べたいなーってマユシーが言ったら、だったら僕が作るをってダルくんが。
ちょうど昨日の放送でマイネちゃんがメンチカツを作ってたんだ。ハードディスクに録画してあるから、それを見ながらなら作れるかなって。
Interesting. Honestly, it's a good idea. I've made food by following cooking shows.
だからマユシーはそのお手伝いをすることにしたの。
Aww. I look at the TV to see a cute girl, supposedly Main-chan, frozen in place with her index finger pointed up. They pause their recording. Dara returns to his position in front of the stove and checks the oil temperature inside the tempura pot. Yes, frying temperature is king. If you don't like, you can make great fried food with very little grease, like the greasiness that you can associate with a lot of fried foods, by cooking at the proper temperature. It's amazing when you do it right. Mayuri goes back to her spot too. Standing next to Dara, she sprinkles breadcrumbs over the meatballs mixed with flour and egg. Is it okay for me to leave them to their own devices? A moment of worry enters my mind. Where is Kurisu in all of this? I peek into the development room and... she's there. Kurisu is sitting in front of a PC monitor typing away at a keyboard. I sneak up behind her. Add channel.
できたか？栗ご飯とカメハメハよ。
that's a low blow. You get first post. The word of reference to the first poster in a thread on that channel. That said, being first doesn't entitle the poster of any kind of reward or anecdotes. Nonetheless, there are those who left after the spot, requiring them to be faster than even the thread creator at times. The loser in this heated battle typically ends up being second poster in a thread, but as their post still reads first, they end up being the butt of the joke. The phenomenon is fascinating in the sense that the battle itself holds no meaning, but there is value to be had from it nonetheless, and it rages to this day. Aww. So cute. Kurisu, in a rush, shuts off the monitor and stands up with her arms spread open what's behind her.
俺の魔眼をもってすれば、その程度のことを見通すのはたやすい。別に、
アットちゃんをしてたわけじゃないから、ちょっと調べ物してただけ。
調べ物？タイムリープマシンはすでに完成している。これ以上何を調べる必要があると？
Kurisu bites her lip, looking annoyed. Her eyes wander as she looks for some way to change the subject.
それにしても、よかったわね。
何が？
マユリのこと。
I'm clueless. She's not supposed to know anything about the ransom note or that Mayuri had gone missing in another timeline. And it's not just Kurisu. There's no way Daru or Mayuri would know. I peek over at the kitchen. The two of them sing along joyfully as they flatten their meatballs.
あげればメンチカツだよ。
キャベツ初 どう出た
It's pretty cute.
あはは、まゆし、キャベツ波動ってなんぞ？
タルくん知らないの？キャベツ波動っていうのはね。
I just keep flashing back to watching Avatar and the cabbage salesman. Peace had returned to our everyday life. But these peaceful days would crumble at the slightest divergence in the world line. I understood that all too well. What if something happens after this? There's no guarantee that it won't. To make sure we're prepared, I may need to explain things to Kirisu at least. With this on my mind, I turned back toward the development room and spoke.
なあクリスティーナ、ちょっといいか？
I lead Kirisu down the staircase and out to the front of the Brontu workshop.
何よ、こんなところに連れ出して。
ああ、実はな。
I told Kirisu about my experience in the previous world lines. There was no way to do so without mentioning that I time leaped, but for some reason Kirisu accepted that with a little hesitation. Today in a different world line, the workshops next to us supposed to close early, but in this one they're still open. Inside, the lights shine bright and the 42-inch CRT in the back is turned on. The owner, Mr. Braun, is also present. He stands imposingly as he watches the news.
なるほど、話は分かったわ。ただ、長々と説明してくれたところ悪いんだけど、実はその話、聞いたのこれで2度目なのよね。
Wait, what?
2度目？
そう、2度目。とにかく、今の話を聞いて、だいたい状況はつかめたわ。あんたの身に何が起こったのかも分かった。
Okay.
ただ一つだけ確認しておきたいことがあるの。
Cool, because I feel like we have a lot more gaps than you do at this point. That's unusual.
D メールはどうなってる？いくつから送られてきたっていう例の脅迫メール。
Right. It should be gone. Mayuri hasn't been abducted in this timeline. Or so I think as I open my cell phone. As I thought, the ransom letter that Itch sent via D-mail has disappeared without a trace.
ないみたいね。
I suddenly realize Kirisu's standing next to me. She looks at my cell phone screen and sees something that catches her attention.
ねえ、この3通のメールは何？これも D メールみたいだけど。
Yeah, exactly. Must be the D-mail I sent from Mayuri's phone in the previous world line. I open the message to confirm. Kidnapping. In to stop. Keep Mayuri in to stop kidnapping. And it was just as we thought. Keep Mayuri in to stop kidnapping. When my past self saw the D-mail, it must have set us on a path in this world line. That's why Mayuri is in the lab right now. That's why she's able to stand in the kitchen and sing a song about Menshikatsu. There are no problems, absolutely none. Except for one thing that bugged me.
おかしい。
何が？
この3通の D メール、いずれも受信時刻が今日の15時20分になっている。
Right.
俺が直前の世界線でこいつを送ったのは18時20分前後のことだった。送信先の時刻指定をダルに任せた。マユリが確実にラボにいると認められた時刻が15時16分だったから、その時刻に D メールを送るようダルに頼んだんだ。
Right, interesting.
それが15時20分だったってことね。
あ
あ。で、それの何がおかしいっていうの？
電話レンジカッコ仮は1時間単位でしか D メールを送ることができなかったはず。
Right, exactly.
タイマーの1秒は現実の1時間に換算され、その時間分過去へと遡って D メールは送信される。ところで助手よ、15時20分は18時20分の何時間前だ
？3時間前。
Right.
その通り。たったの3時間前。つまりダルは電話レンジカッコ仮のタイマーを3秒にセットしたということになる。一方、これまでの実験結果から D メールを1時間前に送信するのは不可能であることが確かめられている。
Is it because like it has to spool up and like that's too short a time for it to do that?
なぜならこの時電話レンジカッコ仮のタイマーに設定するのはたったの1秒であり、この短い稼働時間では放電現象が起こらないからだ。では3秒ではどうだろう。果たしてこの3秒の間に放電現象は発生したのか。
Right, that is odd.
さらにその間に俺はマイルの携帯の送信ボタンを押さなければならなかったはず。どうだろう。俺はダルが電話レンジカッコ仮を起動してからわずか3秒の間に送信ボタンを押すことができたのだろうか。答えは今だ。確実に3秒以上は経っていただろう。ところがどういうわけか。
はいはいはいはい、わかったわかった。もう十分よ。それ以上言わなくても大丈夫。答え教えてあげましょうか。
What is happening?
答え？
簡単なことよ。電話レンジは改良されたの。タイマーの1秒が現実の1分に換算されるようにね。
Wait, really?
だから3時間前に D メールを送ることが可能だったのよ。3時間は180分。橋田は単にタイマーを180秒に設定しただけ。
Okay, but can we also make it like longer too? Like, what?
180秒もあれば放電現象を起こすには十分。そういうことか。
Kiryu nods.
改良したのは誰だ？
もちろん私。
Of course.
で
Who
は
else?
どうしてお前は別の世界線ではその改良をしなかった？
そんなこと聞かれても困るけど、多分お金がなかったんじゃない？改良した電話レンジにはものすごく高価でレアな部品が使われてるの。
Okay.
それを手に入れることができなかったから改良は諦めたんだと思う。
だったらこの世界線ではその資金はどうやって調達したって言うんだ？
魔改造計画で余った資金を使ったのよ。
Magic mod project. What the heck is that?
魔改造計画？
ちょっと待ってよ。それも知らないっていうの？未来ガジェット魔改造計画。あんたが立案した計画なのよ。
Come to think of it, Dara mentioned it when we were preparing for the D-mail. He said something like, good thing we magic modded it. But he never clarified what he was talking about. I made up my eyes as I asked Kurisu.
なんだよそれは。
やっぱり覚えてないんだ。きっとリーディングシュタイナーのせいね。
Yeah, seems that way.
それじゃあ秋葉発明コンテストの件は？
Yeah, no, that's weird.
ああ、それなら知ってる。
I take the flyer from my pocket and unfold it for Kurisu.
だったら話は早いわ。つまりそういうこと。
それだけでは何もわからん。ちゃんと説明してくれ。
だからあんたはどこかでこのチラシを見つけてきて突然コンテストに参加するって言い出したのよ。きっと金に目がくらんだのね。
Right, sure.
しっけえな。おそらくこの俺のことだから金よりも名誉の方に惹かれたのだろう。
Probably, yeah, that actually makes sense.
まあとにかくそんなわけでラボにあるガラクタの数々を応募することにしたのよ。
Oh no, not all those.
ガラクタって言うな。
でもあんた自身もそう考えてたみたいよ。このままではダメだ。対象は取れん。改良の必要がある。そう言い出したんだって。それで
interesting.
未来ガジェット魔改造計画が始動することになったわけか。
Right.
そういうこと。もっとも私は直にその発言を聞いたわけではないんだけどね。魔改造計画に取り掛かったのは一月も前のことだったみたいで、その頃私はまだラボにはいなかったから。
This is such a weird turn of events. According to Kurisu, under my proposed magic mod project, the following improvements have been made to our gadgets. I see. First of all, feature gadget number 1, the bit particle gun, was originally able to change channels on a TV in sequential order. But apparently, with the additional button on top of the clip, it can now turn the TV on and off too. Next, regarding feature gadget number 2, the bamboo helicam. This problem child of a device made up a bamboo toy helicopter and a CDC camera attached to its fulcrum. However, the camera spins around as the copter does. Viewing the footage can make the observer nauseous. Then came the implementation of the gyro sensor. With this, we can prevent the camera from spinning, making stable, non-spinning video possible. That's actually freaking useful. So gyro refers to the orientation stabilization phenomena. A gyro sensor is capable of measuring the angle velocities and can then aid in correcting the orientation or balance of the object. It can also be used to measure vibrations. I'm pretty sure that that's a critical component of helicopters. But like the back propeller effectively is a gyro sensor. Counteracts like because when you have something that's spinning as a top, a bottom portion of it will want to spin the other direction as a counterbalance, and if you don't have a way of like producing counterspin with a secondary motor, or more effectively having like a tail like with another propeller to help counteract that force, you would just be spinning around constantly. For feature gadget number 3, could this be ora ora? We included an additional function to measure the pH of a test subject's saliva. This gadget is so-called lie detector, determining whether the test subject was lying or not based on the sweat of their thumb. But with this additional function, the credibility of this device improved, apparently succeeding in making this device look even more like a real lie detector. Feature gadget number 4, Mode Snake, received no particular upgrades, because it's perfect as it is. Apparently because it looked dangerous. We determined that there was no way we could win a grand prize and exclude it from the project. Yeah, it looks like a claymore, because it's kind of a claymore. The list continues. Feature gadget 5, once again, I made something worthless by Guillemon. Was a unique marriage between a hairdryer and a vacuum cleaner. If you turn it on and don't unplug everything else, it shuts down the breaker. We installed an air purifier in this device. By cleaning the exhausting air, the mod made it an eco-friendly gadget. Feature gadget number 6, Calcium Saber had a fatal flaw where the fake blood inside would solidify after it had been lit up. Through the Magic Mod project, this defect had been resolved. The fake blood never solidifies, and the texture is even more realistic, apparently. Last, but perhaps most impressive, the feature gadget number 7, Ghost in the Ball. What was once made up of a 6-inch CRTVs was now comprised of super high-resolution sheet-type OEL displays. What is that? An LED screen comprised of organic TFT and EL device integrated into a flexible plastic film. Oh, gotcha. And then, of course, pH. Potential hydrogen, a numerical scale used to measure the acidity and or alkalinity of a substance. A person's saliva typically sits around 6.8, almost neutral. However, when a person lies due to their being in a nervous state, the secretion of saliva is suppressed, causing the pH value to become more acidic. Fetch, okay. It uses 12 pentagonal displays and 20 hexagonal displays, making the truncated icehedron much like a regular soccer ball. Despite being called an icehedron, it doesn't actually have 20 faces, but rather 12 pentagonal faces and 20 regular hexagonal faces, making for a total of 32 faces. It's still referred to as an icehedron because of the 12 vertices typically associated with soccer balls. Isohedron. I know I've heard the word, I'm not saying it right, I'm sorry. At each corner of each display was installed a high-performance widescreen CD camera. The images captured by these cameras are displayed on the screen opposite. The only drawback, apparently, is its extremely long boot-up time.
それにしても、よくそんな資金があったものだ。しかも一部は余り、電話レンジカッコ仮の改良に使われたという。
Yeah.
一体誰がそんな金を？
それは。
Before she could answer. Oh no, what could that be? A slicing scream echoed through the air. It's Mayuri's voice coming down from above us. When I look up, I see flickering inside the window. That gleaming red light could only be fire. Kirushi dashes up the staircase, and I follow close behind. Oh my gosh. Kirushi and I throw open the door to the lab. Holy crap. And are immediately pushed back by an intense wave of heat. Oh. The freaking The machine! How are we supposed to time leap if we can't get to the machine room? What if it melts?
知らん
The room was filling with dark smoke. Go talk to go get Mr. Braun asking for a fire extinguisher. Visibility was poor. I could hardly see even a few meters in front of me.
Mayuri! 誰? どこにいる?
I call out their names as loud as I can. A response came quickly. I crouched down and peeked below the smoke. The room is divided by a wall of fire. And beyond the blazing flames is Mayuri. She's trembling like a small animal. The flames are blocking her path over to me.
待ってろ! すぐに助けてやるからな!
橋田はどこ?
ここにいるよ
Dario was standing right next to me. He's flustered, completely at a loss for what to do in the situation. I'm not going to ask him what happened just yet. Saving Mayuri comes first.
クリス !119 番に電話だ! 急げ!
Right, 119.
分かったわ。
ダルは下に降りて店長を避難させてくれ!
オッケー
My lab coat was already off. Holding it in one hand, I run for the kitchen sink. I turn on the faucet and soak my coat in water. Wet blanket, wet blanket! A weak voice comes from beyond the fire. I can hear Mayuri calling me, but I didn't take the time to respond. I cover myself in the soaked lab coat and without hesitation I jump into the fire. Ow! When I busted through the wall of flames, right in front of me was Mayuri.
Mayuri! 大丈夫か?
それよりもオカリンは
俺のことなら気にするな。俺は法王院教務だ。これ式の炎に焼かれることはない。
でもほっぺたのところやけどしてる。
We'll worry about that when we get out of here.
これはただの日焼けだ。
As I spoke, I took off my lab coat and draped it over Mayuri's head. I wrap it around her front to cover her entire body.
なんだかハロウィンのお化けみたい。
What a silly thing to say.
もしくは警察に連行されていく犯罪者だな。
We don't have time for this ridiculous small talk.
さあ行くぞ、マユリ!
I pick Mayuri up and jump through the flames once more. Fetch, man, fearless. I run down the stairs and come in front of the Braun Tube workshop. The fire has already drawn a crowd. The roaring at the front of it was the owner. He was swinging his massive arms around as if he was ready to beat the heck out of me at any second. Dario was trying desperately to calm him down. He held onto the owner's upper body and planted his feet. Does no one have a fire extinguisher?
おい、Okabe! こいつは一体どういうことだ? てめえ、とんでもないことをしてくれやがったな!
For some reason, he's blaming me. Well, it's true that I am the CEO of the lab, so I guess it's my responsibility. Then, as if she could read my thoughts, Mayuri spoke.
全部マユシーのせいなの。マユシーが火のついた天ぷら鍋に水をかけちゃったから。
Grease fire. Dang it. It sucks, because it's such a realistic thing to make. You have burning, fiery oil, and your instinct is to put it out, and you put water on it. But the water sinks through the oil, hits the hot pan, instantly steams, throws the oil into the air, which particulates, which means that the fire can leap, and it coats everything in a flammable substance around it. It's a bad situation, and people die all the time because of grease fires.
そしたら炎がボワーってなって鍋がひっくり返って、だからごめんね、オカリ、クリスちゃん、本当にごめんなさい。
It's okay.
待って、謝るのはまだ早いわ。その前にどうして天ぷら鍋の油に火がついたのか理由を教えてくれない？
ちゃんと見てなかったのか？
ダル君は録画したマイネちゃんの番組を見てて、
Right.
マユシーはその時新一さんと電話を。
新一？
Yeah, who's that?
中瀬真一さん。
Nakase
吹雪ちゃんの
Shinichi.
お兄ちゃんだよ。
Oh, okay.
吹雪ちゃんのお兄ちゃんは質屋で働いてるレイヤーさんなの。
It was stupid of me to ask. All this information is trivial. But the mystery was solved. We knew how the fire broke out. Wait a minute, wait. Ichi? Wasn't Ichi like that, like the name that was like in the email that was really weird with the kidnapping thing? Maybe I'm misremembering that, but that seems familiar. First of all, after putting the tempura pot on the burner, Daru got swept away by Main-chan's show. Meanwhile, Mayuri was busy on the phone with this Fubuki's brother person, and she too was ignoring the pot. The temperature of the oil in the ignored pot rose to its boiling point and started to vaporize. Then the flames from the gas stove reacted with vapor, turning into a gigantic column of flame. This happened to my mom when she was trying to make homemade popcorn in a big pot like that. And thankfully she had a great, like, she thought things through. She grabbed the lid, she put it on top to try and smother it. But it was too hot for her to do that, and she kind of burned herself. And so she took the pot and she took it outside and just set it in the snow, because thankfully it was winter time. So we just let it sit and burn itself out in the snow and kept an eye on it from inside the house to make sure it didn't spread. But I mean, it was dead of winter in the freaking like 2 feet of snow. It was fine. Then frightened Mayuri instinctively threw water at it and also putting the fire out, which is exactly the thing. Is like most people would instinctively do that if they and like in a stressful situation. It's hard to think things through like that, so it makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, ideally you want to smother the flame, like I said, with putting a lid on top of it, or like you can try and do things like dumping, like I don't know. Smothering is honestly the only real viable way. You can try throwing like salt at it, I guess, but like salt's not great at dousing flame, and if it's a big boiling pot like a tempura pot likely is, like smothering is the best course of action. This is why you want to have a fire extinguisher though, because you really don't want to throw water at it. But that is the only forbidden action one must never take against an oil flame. The water instantly evaporates, and the resulting explosion sprays burning oil in all directions. Oh, yeah, I forgot the other thing. Similar to what Okabe did with his lab coat, if you have a fire like that, if you can get a towel and get it wet, you can cover a pot. That keeps the wetness will help keep the towel from like burning, but it also works as a smotherer. But it's temporary. From a distance, I can see the siren of a fire truck. I stand there vacantly looking up at the lab. The fire shows no sign of waning. In fact, it keeps growing harsher and harsher.
ガジェット。せっかく魔改造したのに、水の泡ね。
What about the time leak machine? Kuroshu mutters.
いや、この際その件はどうでもいいよ。それよりも僕らが苦労して集めた宝の方が。
I suddenly realized that Daru was standing next to us. The owner had run into the workshop to grab what looked like important documents and ran away somewhere.
宝って何?
Kuroshu inquires. Daru, looking at the second floor window, absentmindedly responded.
スケブのことだお。
スケブ?
Sketchbook.
スケッチブックのこと。
What is with that sketchbook?
あの中には青梅さん、糸野井さん、猪本さん、海近さん、勘弘さん、七成さん、日野板さん、堀幸さん、福友さん、福さんの絵が詰まってたんだ。
Who are these people?
それだけじゃないよ。他にもたくさん有名な絵師さんのイラストが。でもこの炎の中じゃもうダメぽ。きっと焼き尽くされちゃう。
Oh noes. Used in situations in which one has fallen into complete despair and is on the verge of giving up all hope. Primarily used in online message boards, very rarely used presently, with many believing it to be a dead phrase. You're the one that caused this, I wanted to scream, but I managed to choke back my words. Scolding Daru was pointless. Either way, what's done can't be undone. What's done can't be undone. What's done can't be undone. Right. That's right. What am I doing waiting around here? At this rate, the phone wavelengths are subject to change and the completed time leap machine will be burned to ash. Since we can't guarantee that Mayuri won't be kidnapped, it would be really bad if we can't send email or time leap anymore. And furthermore, this lab houses a countless number of other precious memories. I won't let some temporal oil destroy our holy sanctuary, our grand future gadget laboratory. Duh, this sounds like a bad idea. My feet had started moving before I could think. I confidently ascended the steps of the staircase.
ちょっと岡部、何するつもり？
What am I doing? Foolish question. There's only one thing left to do. Extinguish the fire. I open the door and enter the lab once again. I put a nearby lamp coat over my head and jump into the fire. Ow. I leap through the wall of flame and tumble into the development room. Luckily, the fire hasn't yet reached this area. The phone wavelength subject to change is safe. Now, to deal with the fire, I'll put it out. Shall I extinguish it? I had two options. Leap through time or send a D-mail. There's risk involved with the former. The time leap machine is defective. Kudusa told me that in a previous world line. Come to think of it, maybe the time leap machine's malfunctions were caused by the magic mods. Maybe when the improvements to the phone wavelength subject to change were made, the copy and pasting of memory data stopped working properly. At any rate, there's no room for error. I must choose the option with guaranteed success. And that's D-mail. I will send a D-mail. The recipient will be my cell phone. The time will be 3:22. It was 3:20 when the Keep Mayuri In message arrived, so I decided to send this one immediately after. Just because it's possible the Keep Mayuri In message could be deleted if I send the new one earlier. I'll have to experiment with the idea of erasing D-mails like that, but for now I decide that I'm better safe than sorry. The message looks like this. Stop summit. Use no fire. Lab will burn. After I've typed it up, I proceed to set the timer to 240 seconds and activate. Good thing the TV's on downstairs. It's currently 7:22, so in order to send an email to 3:22, the timer should read 240 seconds. Electricity had already begun to discharge. I'll select the recipient. I selected the recipient. All I need to do is press send. What if I don't, though? I raised my right arm and shouted, Then I pressed the button. Oh, we did something right. 4.530805. Why are we here now? The world trembles, my vision wavers. My heart feels like an evil dwarf is running around inside it, breaking things. It's okay, it's just the usual dizziness, it'll soon subside. After waiting for things to settle down, I slowly survey my surroundings. A stranger stands in front of me. Who is he? I did not recognize the man at all, but he stands and stares at me. It's creepy. I also gotta point out, that locker looks like it's been broken. I don't think it was like that normally. He doesn't seem like someone I should get involved with. I casually try to make my way out of his line of sight. Once more, I take in my surroundings. The coin lockers in front of Daibiru. As usual, I didn't understand what I was doing there. But there's no question that my reading Steiner has activated. The world line has changed. Suddenly, there's something about the stacked coin lockers that caught my eye. Ah, so I wasn't thinking it's odd. The doors of the locker at the bottom of the corner are severely deformed. My curiosity draws me near. I squat down and take a peek inside. Empty. There was nothing inside. So what? The locker is of no concern. More importantly, the lab. I have to check on the lab. I took off running in its direction. It may have been the man from earlier, but by the time his voice reached my back, I didn't care. I kept running without turning back. 7:31 p.m. I arrive in front of the Braun Tube workshop. I put my hands on my knees, gathering my breath, and look up above me. Well... There was no crackling red light behind the window. There was no crowds, and Mr. Braun is just watching some variety TV show on his 42-inch CRT television as if nothing had happened. Phew, I take a deep breath and with my hand on my chest. I wipe the sweat off my forehead and climb the steps to the lab.
Tadaima.
Oh, that better just be the modes, the saber thing. Holy crap. Before I could say, check, something strange robbed me of speech. An unexpected sight rushed up to greet me as I opened the door. Please be fake.
なんだこれは
Bright red blood is splattered around the room. The blood is not yet dry, still glossy and wet. Calm down, think. What the heck could have happened? I sent a D-mail in the previous world line and moved over to this world line. My D-mail likely canceled the development summit, but that would have erased the lab fire. But in its place... I look at my watch at 7:34. Don't tell me. The Rounders raided us? No, that can't be. That's not possible. That was a different world line. Then what do I make of all this blood? Whose is it? Come and think of it, where are the lab mems? Can I call someone? Nope. There wasn't a trace of anyone in the room. No Mayuri, no Kirisu, no Daru. I ran over to the development room, but it was empty too. They weren't here. There was no blood in this development room, but there was something I didn't recognize. A single piece of paper on the table. I take a look at it. It was a memo. Promissory contract. Keiron Shinpan Co. Limited, hereafter Party A, and the Rentaro Okabe, hereinafter Party B, hereby enter a monetary expenditure loan contract and agreement of the following terms. Oh no. Section 1, effective today, a offer of a loan of 3 million yen to B, which B accepts. Section 2, B shall repay A the 3 million loan mentioned in the previous section by August 11, 2021, either in person or via bank transfer. Great! Section 3, interest shall be 0% until September 11th, 2010. Any repayment remaining after this day shall be incur interest at the rate of 10% per 10 days. Oh my gosh. 10% interest for every 10 days. This is a compounding interest. For example, if one borrowed 3 million yen, after 10 days they would owe a total of 300,000 yen. After another 10 days, 3,630,000 yen, and so on. Oh, that's bad. August 12th, 2010. Further down on the debtor, Party B line, there was a signature and initials. The signature read Okabe Rentaro, in what was unmistakably my own handwriting.
Bakana! 金300万だと! 俺はそんな金を借りた覚えはない!
Scoffing at the absurd promissory contract, I rip up and toss the pieces into the trash. And then I noticed. Up until now, I hadn't taken a look at myself and noticed the anomaly. What the fetch? My hands are covered with blood. And it's not just my hands. Examining myself further, I found blackish red blood stains all over my clothes. What the heck? What happened? My hand trembles as I take out my phone. I needed to know where the lab mems were. I forced my shaking fingers to call Mayuri. Silence. Not so much as a ring. And a moment later, a robotic voice gives me a message.
ただいま、電話に出ることができません。ピーという発信音の後に、お名前とご用件をお話しください。
What is happening?
俺だ! マイリ! ダッシュ連絡をくれ!
I then proceed to call Kurisu, then Daru, only to get the same result. No ring, just a robotic message. Okay, wait, let's check the phone. Okay, so we got the D-mails. What the fetch is happening? In my rage, I kicked a nearby shelf. And if their phones don't ring, that means they must be off, or they have no signal, or they already... shaking the terrible thoughts out of my head, I catch a glimpse under the table. I set the phone wave and expected to change the time loop machine. It took me no time to decide. I don't believe a mere D-mail will solve anything at this point. Even if I managed to avert one tragedy using a D-mail, there's no guarantee that I'd be able to do a second or third time. My experience in other world lines has been proof that. So I'm leaping. I will perform a time leap. I'll solve this problem by getting to the root of what happened in this lab. I can't see the other way to make things right. Kudishi said that the time leap machine was defective, but it only failed to transmit my memory data once. It might not happen this time. It's worth a shot. No, what a gamble. In order to prevent the worst case scenario, I must leap at any cost. Activate the X68000 and adjust the settings. The magic mod improvement should have been applied to this time leap functionality as well, so hashtag 120 minutes, I'll leap back 2 hours. I thought 1 hour would be too recent and 3 hours would be too far back. So I chose the time in between. I put on the headgear. The fear of losing my memory again crept into my thoughts, but I shut my eyes tightly and pushed it away. I've already decided there's no turning back. Then the preparations are complete. All I need to do now is activate the device. I raised my right hand and roared. Zervan is a primordial creature deity worshipped by the now extinct hierarchical branch of Zoroastrianism. It means time. There we go. Stuff looks moved around, but other than that, it looks okay. But I think we're gonna end here for today. Another time leap. But fetch, what is happening? Most of the time, I experience like the what is happening experience with Steinsgate. It's kind of like a theme of the game. But my gosh, this is just getting ridiculous. What on earth is going on? There's nothing that makes any sense. I feel like there's a lot more to figure out here, but I'm excited to see where this is going to take us. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. As always, it's a pleasure having you here to be a part of this wacky, random journey. Do you have any thoughts about this one? Please no spoilers, but keep in mind that, I've got my theories, I've got my things running around. I'm guessing it's odd that they introduced Fubuki's brother, and like I said, his name seems to have that last part that seems to be similar to that email we got that sent the threat. I'm guessing that might be the guy who we were meeting at the lockers. I think this all going to end up tying together, so we'll have to see what are the events that led up to the horrific blood show in the room and us standing in front of the lockers. We'll find out next time. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. As always, it's a pleasure having you here and being able to share this with you. And until the next video, watching me, I hope to see me next. I'll see you there.